Hello, good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, wherever you are. So today we are meeting together to speak about the behavior-based safety, or with another word, cultural safety. And the program we are about to talk today about is Proactively Safe program. Be proactive and be safe. We all know that really the behavior and the culture of an organization is something very, very focal when we speak about the safety culture and the safety performance and how can we change this. In our webinar today, in my presentation today, we go through the we culture, how accident happened at the workplace, what's the behavior, what's this thing, okay, we're speaking about and taking lots of our discussions, and our Proactively Safe program, and observe and to check. The Proactively Safe program. We start here, okay, discuss our discussion first about the safety culture. How do organizations do with the culture, and how the culture of an organization affect the number of accidents in the workplace, and how these two things are together. In fact, the organizations in terms of culture, they are divided to three categories or three types. So the first category, the first type is the action. And these are the organizations which tend to do actions whenever they have a workplace accident. It's like, oh, we have an accident. Let's do something about it. We cannot just sit there and watch what's happening. That's a type. The other one is the organizations which they already have a system, but they have a system because they needed to have a system. They didn't integrate the system within their culture, or they didn't integrate the culture within the system. Regardless, this or that, so they have the system, but just the system, nothing more. And they keep their mindset and the thoughts and how they approach safety issues like, he did that, or they did that. And that's a point. Here we have the third type, where they have the safety implanted within the organization as a culture. So they think all the time that, yes, we have a system, but maybe the system is not enough. Yes, we have these issues, but we need to tackle it deep down and see the root causes for it and see exactly what we can do with it. So they have the topic, they have the point on the head of the organization and thinking about it all the time to make sure that they have the right mindset for the culture. It's we culture. We are responsible. We need to do something about it, and we will do something about it. And you can see here on the graph that the more the safety is implanted and integrated within your organization culture, the less accident in the workplace can happen. There is somehow, I know that some of you will disagree about the pyramids of the accident in terms of numbers. And in many cases, people proven that it's not really correct, but it still represents a reality somehow. Maybe not at every organization, but it's still true that with the big number of at-risk behaviors we have at the workplace, they come up with a number of near misses, which might be less. And then this would cause some minor injuries, and it might lead to an LTI. And at the end of the day, we would have a fatality. So if you see this green dotted line, that's a pyramid down there in your right hand. So theoretically, if we could reduce the at-risk behavior, we might be able to eliminate fatalities at the workplace. And you can see also that culture is definitely the maestro or the dynamo of these things happening at the workplace. The culture is really very focal, and that's what we're going to see it during our presentation today. How accident happened? This is, yes, I know that accident happen when people do risky things, and we all know the, let me say, the causes of the accident, and that's what we do in our day-to-day work to investigate accidents and find the reason for it. But there are also somehow a point which is not really tackled as much as it should be. When we do systems at our workplace, in our organizations, we do the system and we try all the time during or using our continuous improvement approach to make sure that any holes in our system are covered or closed. And these, we call them defenses. These are the defenses line which stop the hazard or the risk from becoming an accident in the workplace. So of course, as everything in life, nothing is perfect, nothing is 100% proof for accident, nothing will take us to this. So what we do to make our systems in the end of the day capable of stopping accidents at the workplace from occurring is to appoint competent person, those competent persons who are responsible about these defenses and about operating our activities. Those might be shift supervisors, might be site supervisors, site engineers, craftsmen in the construction site. It could be anyone who's appointed to do something at our day-to-day activities. But guess what? Even those people who are responsible about these things, competent persons, sometimes they got issues and sometimes they overlook some of these holes. And this is the moment where accident happens. I have, I guess everyone of us have already one of these stories about one of these accidents which happened at the workplace. Here in the screen, I know this accident in person, and I was somehow involved in this accident in the past in one of my employment. So what happened is there was two supervisors, and these two supervisors were doing some refurbishment and renovation work at one of the cement plants. And they just wanted to have a walk around the site to check that everything of their list, which were appointed to do it, is completed. What's the status? Just normal, like every one of us doing at his workplace. During the walk, there was walking nearby one of those handrails. You see it on the picture on the left hand of the screen. And that handrail over there, they were supposed to walk on the left side of the handrail, not where you see that hole. And then one of them decided to make a shortcut and to jump the other side of the handrail and to shortcut and shorten the distance to the office. He did that, but unfortunately, the point where he touched the roof was a damaged part of the roof. So it causes that hole, and the guy fall down from almost 25, 30 meters from that roof and definitely died on the spot in the area. By the way, his girlfriend, okay, was pregnant at that time. I remember this sad part of the story, but however, it is what it is. So when we look to this accident and to this fatality, it's clearly a behavior, a personal decision. He decided to cross the handrail to the other side and to shorten the distance to back to his office. No one asked him to do this. There is a handrail already in the place. So protection is there, defenses are there, but the competent person decided by himself, for any reason, we don't know it, to cross this handrail to the other side, causing and having this accident and causing his life to come to an end. Yeah, so that's clearly a behavior accident. And I believe that all of us, when we do our accident investigation, we come to the point that yes, the permit was not clear, or the person used maybe something which was defect. But let's not forget, there's always a behavior factor in any accident. So what about this behavior, this annoying term which coming across us every time? What about it? Why we behave in a certain way? Some scientists studied this behavior thing, and they commented as follows. So, usually when people behave in a certain way, we tend to explain this as slips or lapses. But this is wrong. It's not just slips and lapses. We do things in a specific way because we have an intention to do it in this way. And why we have an intention to do it in this way? Because there are three questions which jump in our mind without we feel it whenever we decide to do something in our day. First, the gap between me and the thing which I want to do, the activity which I want to accomplish, and the outcome. Yes, I need to install this filter, this pipe at this spot. And that's the outcome which I want to reach, and the power which I have personally to do it. Let's take a very easy example here. I want to change a lamp in my living room. So that's what I need to do. There is a gap between me and the lamp. Of course, I need to step on something. I need to use a ladder, whatever the thing is, but there is a gap I need to close. And the outcome is to outreach to this lamp and change it. And the power, yes, of course, I have the power to do this. But the answers of these questions, specifically the question of the power and the capability, and if I'm really able to do it, or do I have the qualification to do it? And the answers of the other two questions are coming from many factors. And these factors are the past experiences which we have, the influencing factors which I had during my life, during my work, which comes from management, colleagues, regulator, public, culture, whatever the things are, and causing and forming my own understanding and perception for things. My perception for these things is providing me with an answer for these three questions. And the answer of these questions is the reason why I behave in a certain way. That's why we behave in a certain way. So why behavior? Why really? Okay, we talk about this point and we make a program trying to change behavior and to take it to a positive behavior, because 90% of the accidents are triggered by at-risk behavior. That's clear. That's a solid fact. I personally think it's more than 90%. And then there's the mismatch between the job requirements and the people capabilities. And that's the answer for the question of the power. So I feel myself like a Superman. I can just get on the chair, change the lamp, and go back. That's how I feel myself. People at the workplace, they also have their own perception about the powers, which affected by their, as we talked in the previous slide, their previous experiences, their bosses at the work, the systems, whatever the things which really affected their own perception about their own power and capabilities. And other thing is the mismatch, the fact of people behaviors are usually an early warning for an accident. So when you see an unsafe behavior, and that's a very important point, we come to it later on in the presentation. Why really we record behaviors, why we want to do this, is to see these early warnings before it turns into a dramatic accident. So one other important thing, that behavior in the end of the day, and having this tool to record it, to study it, to analyze it, to measure it, make it something tangible, something I can see, something I can point and I can talk about, and I can analyze it as well. So what we're looking to do, or what's the objective of what we're doing right now, is to establish this behavior-based safety or cultural safety. Some people get a little bit not so well with the term behavior-based safety, but nonetheless, the point is I need to have the safety integrated in my culture so people could behave in a more safe way. And in fact, it's just an excellent prevention tool. It's nothing more than what you used to do day to day at work. It's exactly what you need to be doing every day, every single day in your work. You just being there, you see the unsafe behaviors, and you should intervene with it, stop it, and talk to your colleagues and take an active part of it. So speaking about behaviors, there are also two main drivers for someone behavior. The resultant outcome, me wanting to finish something in a certain time. Most of the time, I want to finish it fast because I want to go to the next task. I want to go home at the end of the day. So the outcome and the perception is what I'm thinking of doing this activity. My values, the past experiences I have, the culture which I'm having within myself, that's what make me behave in a specific way. But here's the point. It's not rocket science. It's something we can change it. We can take it in a certain direction. We just need to follow these 4 pillars and make them active. The pinpointing, the measuring, the feedback, and the consequences. Speaking about pinpointing, how would people at the workplace understand exactly what they need to do or what they don't need to do without having the organization pinpointing them for the workforce, for the employees? Pinpointing the desired behaviors and pinpointing the risky behaviors and pinpointing the risks and making the people aware of exactly the situation at the workplace is a very key element here. So this could be in a different kind of forms. Training is one of the pinpointing. Safety posters at the workplace is also pinpointing. You as a responsible manager or professional at your organization, when you're leading by example, it's a pinpointing. It's everything we do to show the workforce and the employees how we want to do the job and how we want to get it done. Leading by example is also one of the most important tools to pinpoint good behaviors and to show the undesired behaviors, because we all have an eye for our bosses and leaders at job and leaders and also in the life. And when we look at them and see how they behave, how they do things, how they are fully committed to the safety, how they really care sincerely about the safety issues and the situation at the workplace, this is automatically reflected on us and take us also to the same direction and help us also convey the message to our people. The second pillar is the measuring pillar. If I didn't measure anything, then I don't know what I'm doing. I measure the behavior and I measure the unsafe ones and the good ones, then I know exactly where I'm going. I know the effect of this on my organization. I know by measurement that I need to do more training, for example, for work at height. I do the measuring, then I find out that, oh my God, lifting operation need a lot of training to be conducted. And here I recall one situation I had in the past in a construction site. And back then, this organization was newly implementing the behavior-based safety program. And they decided to implement also the measuring pillar and the pinpointing. They decided to take the full package and they started really to do it. And they was in the very early beginning of this implementation. And they have a nice system back then. They were still using papers. system, and they used to make the observation and get it back to the safety department so they can categorize it and sort it out and pass it to the responsible ones. And the time they had a fatality after all. And that's not because the system is not working, it's just because another aspect there. But when they got back to the records and reports which were generated in the last 2 weeks before the fatality, they found out that the observations which were brought back to the safety department pointing out some deficiencies for lifting equipment and lifting gears on the side, they were somehow taking an uptrend. And yes, I've seen this with my own eyes, and that was like, yes, it's there. We just need to look and see where's the problem, and that should be reflect on our actions to correct the trend and to bring it back to down or good behaviors. Excuse me. So the third pillar going to speak about it today is the feedback. If you didn't give a feedback to someone, how would they know that that was a wrong action? And the feedback is not only to give a feedback to someone and say, hey, what you did yesterday was not really the best practice or the safe practice to do this. Your feedback could be up to the case that you stop someone from doing something which would end his life immediately in the workplace. That's the feedback. Feedback and intervention is really a key element also here. So speaking about feedback and how someone could make a feedback for someone else in the work, probably to your colleague, definitely. So there are 4 killing factors to feedback. So if you make a feedback for someone and you have any of these points, then bingo, you killed your feedback, you make it not worthy. So what are these points for? What are the 4 killing factors for feedback? If you make your feedback delayed, you did something or you saw your colleague at the work doing something unsafe today, and rather than going directly to him and talking to him, you talk to him next week. Do you remember last week when you was doing this, grinding this beam and you was doing da-da-da-da-da-da? Oh, come on, that's last week. I can't even remember what I've had for breakfast today. And incomplete. So speaking about a behavior which was done by any of your colleagues, but you don't complete the discussion, you don't complete your feedback, you didn't give him the full picture, you didn't give him exactly the point, clearly what you need to explain for him, and giving a masked feedback. So this might be a culture point. So some of the cultures which I've worked with during my career life, they cannot give a solid, clear, very open feedback. So they need to mask it to make it less, let me use the term, I'm not sure if this is the best term, less aggressive or less softer, all right, on the ears of the person who received your feedback. So this is a cultural thing, but believe me, thinking about the cultural factor at this point and thinking of the consequences of not making your feedback clear and straightforward, you have to compare, which one you take. You leave your colleague with the masked feedback, then he would do again the same issue, or you give it to you explain the situation to him very clear and very open and unmasked, so he understands the situation, he goes back to his family in one piece. And the 4th factor is generalized, speaking about many general things in life, and without coming straight forward to the point. Again, it's a culturally related, but make sure that really you avoid these 4 factors next time you make a feedback for someone at the workplace. So consequences are what we deal with after we do actions in a certain way or after we behave in a certain way. Some of it have, some of these consequences are positive and some of it is negative. That's the rule of life. And consequences are really very important to direct behaviors and to take them in a certain way. And what we know in terms of consequences, like if you do or behave in a specific way or this way, then you might complete the job earlier and you get promoted and you get bonus and, or you go back home safe. And a negative reinforcement is the other way around. If you do these violation more and more, you might be terminated from your work, and or you might be having a bad score in your performance, or you might not take a bonus. All this, or you might get badly injured, and that's really what matters here. So the positive reinforcement and the negative reinforcement are the two types of consequences where it plays a big role in driving your behavior at the workplace. Now we are going to speak how to handle these things at the workplace, how to use these pillars, and how to really make sure that we blend all these together and start our behavior changing or culture changing progress. So what we all need to do, what we all really need to have on top of our minds when we work in our organizations is our commitment to our responsibilities at the workplace. Will you interfere the next time you see one doing unsafe act? Will you let your colleague do the things in unsafe way and face the consequences later on? Or you step onto the scene and talk to him and explain the situation? Will you be shy to approach your colleague and open such a discussion with him? Oh no, he's going to talk about the safety. I don't want to be this guy who comes and talk about the helmet and the gloves and the way to do the job and. No, get rid of this. I have a very good recipe to get rid of this. Just think of the consequences which will happen to your colleague if you did not interfere with what he's doing. So observation, taking observation and recording of good practice and hazard reports is an integral part. And guess what? Which pillar of the 4 pillars is what we are doing here about the good practice and the hazard report? Of course, it's a pinpointing and also a feedback. What happens at the workplace when everyone at the workplace start making their own observation? First of all, you have an active team member new into the safety team when everyone start to do this. So you have people working around the site, having this kind of mindset, recording good practices and say, yeah, well done, keep it. And making hazard reports. These hazards get corrected and the person who was involved know that he did something which would cause an accident. And more of this, what we also have here from our system, that when you record and make these observations, then you can learn about the performance of your organization. And when you learn this, you know exactly the areas to be improved and you know how to take it further in this direction. So making observation, it's not about that, oh my God, I've seen this person doing something wrong. He's not the best one to work here. He's doing lots of safety violations. That's absolutely a complete, perfectly wrong idea. What we want to find out is what kind of unsafe behaviors, what kind of hazards we have at the workplace. Are the situation getting worse or getting better? Do we have more numbers or less numbers of this or that? That's the point. And of course, more than having these statistics is to correct the situation and make a positive impact on the workplace and change this unsafe behaviors or hazardous situation. So just approach your colleague, talk with them, speak about the situation, and explain what's the right way to do it. Speaking up for your peers and the safety. This is a kind of mindset, and this mindset will never be established without having right pinpointing and training for people to make sure that they know exactly what to do correctly, and they know exactly what they should not do. You should always stay positive with this. You are not a police officer. And I know that all of us can meet this kind of people in around the workplace where they believe, yes, because they have some knowledge about the safety, which is everyone should have actually, but they feel themselves like a police officer. They stand there and they look with a kind of superiority to the people and say, yes, you did this wrong, you did this in this way. And this is something also very misleading behavior, which should be eliminated from the workplace. Stay clear about the unsafe and safe behaviors and be specific and just don't be late. And proactively, we help you with our smart software solution to have all this just in the tip of your hand. So we help you having the software which keep your records, show you the trends, record your observations, distribute it to the concerned parties, and make sure that those who need to do an action, they have the action taken, or at least you have a track of the actions. Thank you.